All right, as we've been talking about, well, basically all semester, we're now going to take what we've learned about the preterite tense and the imperfect tense, and we're going to learn how to use them together. So first of all, let's review preterite tense. The preterite tense is a verb tense in which all actions are done and over, never to be repeated. It's once and done, and it's always in the past tense. Once the action's done, it cannot and it will not be repeated. So here's some examples. Yo estudié por el examen en historia. I studied and I'm done. Nosotros vimos a 311 el año pasado. We came to 311 last year. It's over and done. Or we saw. I'm sorry, not we came, we saw. Ellos dieron las presentaciones ayer. We gave the presentations yesterday. It's done. And this word ayer is a good clue. That's a clue word to use the preterite tense. Tú hablaste con el presidente anteayer. You spoke with the president yesterday, or day before yesterday. This is also another clue word for the preterite tense. Ella se cepilló el pelo anoche. She brushed her hair last night. This is another clue word for the preterite tense. Imperfect tense. Once again, this is still in the past tense, but we use the imperfect tense to describe events which happened in the past, which have a recurring theme. And the mnemonic device to help you remember this is called P water. So the P stands for physical descriptions or attributes. Ella era alta, y él era bajo. These are physical descriptions. Yo era bonita y joven. Tú eras gordito. Okay, the W stands for weather, because weather is something that's ongoing. Hacía sol ayer. Now, granted, it uses the word ayer here, but because we're talking about weather, that fits in with P water, and so it's going to be in the imperfect tense, even though we have the clue word here for preterite. The imperfect tense clues will trump preterite tense. Llovía mucho en abril. Okay, granted, April's over, once and done, but we're still talking about weather, and so the imperfect tense wins. No nevaba en noviembre mucho. Okay, the A stands for age, chronological age. Ellos tenían 7 años en el año pasado. Yes, the year's over, once and done, but we're talking about age, which is P water, so we stay with the imperfect tense. Yo tenía 10 años cuando yo compré mi propia bicicleta. See, now we have both things going on. Here we're talking about age, but we're no longer 10 years old, so the fact that we bought our own bicycle is once and done. But the age part has to be in the imperfect. Nosotros teníamos un año cuando nosotros tomamos lecciones de natación. Okay, same thing here. This part we're talking about age, so that verb has to be in the imperfect tense. But since the age of 1 is already over, we're going to take the preterite tense in the second part of the sentence. Okay, the T for P water stands for time. Our numbers. Era a la noche, a la una anoche. Now, once again, anoche is a clue word for the preterite tense, but we're talking about time. So therefore, time is always in the imperfect tense. Eran las 7 de la mañana. It was 7 in the morning. Eran las 2 menos 3 de la tarde. It was 1:57 in the afternoon. Okay, the E stands for emotions. Emotions are always going to be in the imperfect tense. Yo estaba contento. Ellos estaban enojados. Tú estabas preocupado anoche. Once again, this is the clue word for the preterite, but we're talking about emotion, worried, So we're going to use the imperfect tense. Okay, the R stands for recurring actions, repeating actions, or actions that are interrupted. In other words, habitual actions. Él asistía a la escuela todos los días. He attended school every day. That's a repeating action. Yo comía al mediodía cada almuerzo. Every day I ate at noon for lunch. Yo lavaba los platos cuando tú me llamaste por teléfono. I was washing dishes when you called me on the phone. So this is going to be an interrupted action. I was doing this when all of a sudden you called. Okay, so here's some words that we usually associate with the imperfect tense. Todos los días, every day. Todas las noches, every night. Todos los meses o años, every month or every year. Siempre, always. Generalmente, generally. Nunca, never. De vez en cuando, once upon a time. Mientras, while. De niño or niña, when I was a child. De joven, when I was young. All of these are associated with the imperfect tense, and there's a bunch of others, and you'll get to know them. Okay, there's usually words that are associated with the preterite, but like I've already said, make sure that the acronym P-water, which we associate with the imperfect tense, is not in play. Ayer, yesterday. Anteayer, day before yesterday. El mes pasado, last month. El día pasado, the day before. Una vez, one time. De repente, suddenly. Anoche, last night. Okay? So all of these will generally trigger the preterite tense as long as you're not talking about one of the conditions that deals with P-water. So preterite or imperfect. If it's used to describe people, if it's a description, what is it going to be? It's going to be the imperfect. To tell time, the imperfect. Incomplete or interrupted action, imperfect. Completed action, preterite. Repeated or habitual acts, imperfect. Was ing, that's an ongoing action, that's imperfect. Describing an emotion, that's P-water, that's imperfect. Okay, and that's as far as we're going to go. We actually don't talk about infinitives that change meaning until Spanish 3, so we'll deal with that then.